subscription fee instead.
It is ridiculous that we have closets where 85% of the things in it are used 3 times or less.
Education disruptor Udacity moves up to number 8 after signing more partners. Personal genetics company 23andMe moves up to number 7 as it picks up FDA approval for cancer screening. Then come the ride-sharing giants. Singapore's Grab, number 6, Lyft is 5, China's Didi is 4, and Uber is number 2. Their combined valuation is more than $140 billion. They're investing in autonomous cars as they transform how people move around the world. Jumping back to number 3, Airbnb. Last year's top disruptor continues to innovate, offering more experiences and expanding corporate partnerships to convince business travelers to ditch hotels. And number 1, SpaceX, rocketing to the top of the Disruptor 50 list after 9 successful missions so far in 2018 alone.
Vehicle is supersonic.
It's delivered on Elon Musk's promise of reusable rocket boosters, and the stunning test of the Falcon Heavy, the world's most powerful rocket, brings SpaceX closer to Mars.
I think it's going to encourage other countries and companies to raise their sights and say, hey, we can do bigger and better, which is great. We won a new space race.
Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a nice break. I don't know about you, but whenever I come to conferences like this, all my healthy eating efforts go completely out the window because you've always got free flow coffee, cake, champagne, cookies, you name it, all the things that we really shouldn't be eating, but it's there, so we eat it anyway. Anyway, hope you managed to have some coffee and cake out there, and let's get straight into the program. We're going to be talking about AI now, and I was just sitting there and I was trying to think, is there an industry out there on the planet that has not yet been touched by AI or automation? I couldn't think of one. Can anyone else think of one? No, exactly. So we've been talking about how AI is disrupting every industry out there, but the question is, how specifically is it disrupting? And which industries more, maybe, than others? Well, let's have a chat now with the President of Global Marketing and the CMO for the Enterprise Business Group at Huawei Technologies. His name is Chu Heng, but I believe that he likes to be known as Q. And if you're a James Bond fan, you would know that Q is the head of the R&D division of the British Secret Service, otherwise known as the gadget guy or the tech guy, which is extremely fitting for this segment. And it's once again hosted by Arjun. So over to you.
Thank you very much, Mandy. And I'm hoping Q's going to be able to tell us about some secret cars with lasers on them and controlled by robots. But let's find out what's going on over at Huawei. Q, you talk a lot about Huawei's vision when it comes to the way that AI is going to change enterprises going forward. So in your opinion, what does that mean? How will it change enterprises?
Okay, because because most people think Huawei is a smartphone company, I need to clarify that I'm from enterprise business group, and Huawei has a total around $100 billion revenue, and for enterprise business group, we double our revenue every 2 years, and this year we'll reach $10 billion. And come back to the AI topic. So this October, we just released our full stack or scenario AI portfolio. The target is to realize inclusive AI. What does inclusive mean? It means affordable, effective, and reliable. AI means that AI is not only for giant company, it should be for everyone, for every industry. And full stack means our AI portfolio will include chipset enablement, unified the training and inference architecture, and the application enablement. So everything needed for devs, they can use this to develop their applications very easily. And all scenario means the portfolio will cover cloud, edge computing, industrial terminal, consumer terminal, every scenario. So it will be a full stack.
So Q, what you mean by full stack, of course, is owning all parts of that chain required for a business to implement AI into their company essentially and transform the business. So let's dig into parts of that stack. You recently announced some new chips, the Ascend 310, Ascend 910. Can you just give us a brief outline of what these chips are for? What are they designed to solve?
Okay, so before talk about chipset, I would like to say why chipset is so important. Because we say for AI, 3 factors very important: computing power, data, algorithm. But just check which factor contributes the most. From the IDC data from 2014 to 2020, the algorithm for the recognition success rate only 4% increase. For the data volume, 5.5 times increase, very encouraging. While for computing power, 30 times increase. So you understand, in fact, computing power contribute most to the recent, upsurge of AI trend. So it's very important. Then what contribute most to computing power? Chipset. Okay. So in October, we released 2 chipsets and a series of IP for chipset. One is Ascend 310. Another is 910. What's the difference? The Ascend 310 is designed for edge computing. Means it's very low power consumption. Because at the edge, you can't get a lot of power supply. While for 910, it's with the highest computing density in the world. You can compare. It is with the highest computing density. So, both these chipsets will contribute a lot to increase the computing power and to realize affordable, effective, and reliable.
And
AI.
how do you plan to commercialize these chipsets then? Because are you planning to sell these to perhaps some of your competitors? Because these are, well, the 910 is a chip designed for servers and data centers. Mm-hmm. And so, will you be making the servers to go into data centers and selling that as a package, or are you selling these chips separately to become a chip maker specifically for big data and cloud and AI?
Okay. So first, we will not sell the chipset. So there will be direct competition with the chipset company. We will provide the capability of the AI computing power in the format of first as an acceleration module. Our customer can buy the module. They can buy the acceleration card. They can buy AI server. Right. They can also buy mobile data center we announced together with Audi for the autonomous driving installed in the car. And also they can buy cloud. We provide the AI capability with Huawei Cloud called EI, Enterprise Intelligence.
How do you plan to, because you're not the only player in this space. We've heard earlier this year Alibaba planning to make its own chips for data centers. Of course, you've got the likes of NVIDIA over in the US. How do you plan to compete with some of these other players in the space? What sets you apart?
So, in fact, if you check the capability of our chipset and our offerings, you will see it's very competitive. I will give you several examples. For example, when we install the chipset 310 into the camera, before, also an AI camera, it can only recognize 30 objects at the same time to recognize. While after we install the chipset, it can be increased to 200 objects, including people, car, obstacle, and the traffic sign. So autonomous driving and traffic control can be realized easily, and we will further increase to 600 objects at the same time. Just one example. The other example is for the common training case for AI. Usually it's very, very time consuming. In the past, Fast AI set a record to train a common picture recognition case with 80 minutes. That's the record for the past. But now with our 910, with the EI, we can realize only 10 minutes. So we set a new record. And yeah, a lot of this kind of examples. And not only it's very powerful, it saves energy. Give you an example for MDC, mobile computing, mobile data center for the autonomous driving. All the chipsets inside an autonomous driving car needed from Huawei for Ascend 310, it only consumes 200 watts. 200 watts is nothing. It's almost a similar level as a stereo speaker. So you understand it's very, very save the power consumption.
Thank you. Apart from AI, it does link in some senses to what you're trying to do in 5G networks as well with optimization. 5G, of course, is a key technology that Huawei's looking into. People hear a lot about 5G, that it's going to allow us to download movies in the matter of seconds. But is this actually more of a business-focused product, 5G? Allowing some of the things you've spoken about, like the Internet of Things, and allowing businesses to use these increased cloud computing capabilities. What kind of impact will it have on business?
Yeah, first, we say in the 3GP, in ITU, it already defined what 5G can be used for. First, for extremely high speed for people communication, and then for extremely low latency, Internet of Things, and then for massive connection, because the number of things is much more than number of people. So for these three kinds of scenarios, for Huawei, now we are doing trial and pre-commercial verification in 66 countries already, and we already shipped out more than 10,000 base stations supporting 5G.
I want to talk about some of the challenges, however, around some of this technology, in particular AI. It's a conversation we've been having here at East Tech West. There are, of course, many opportunities, but there are potential fallouts from the widespread use of AI, and we've talked about the impact perhaps on jobs and broader society as well. So how do you develop this technology responsibly to make sure that the disruption that it causes is kept to a minimum, and those people that perhaps are impacted are able to re-enter the workforce perhaps in a different way?
So first, we are optimistic about the impact of AI to the society. We think AI will help to improve the production value, improve the internal management efficiency, and also it may help the society become even more equal. Why? I can give you some examples. So take our own business first as an example. We are doing the enterprise business. We double the revenue every 2 years, but we can't double our employee number every 2 years, right? So the work is increasing very fast. How to handle all this work? Give you some example. Our homepage supports more than 18 different languages. We have more than 12,000 documents. If we try to translate all these documents into 18 languages, you can imagine by human being how much work will be needed. So in the past, we have to select only the most important documents be translated. But with the help of AI, we can realize all language translation at the same time. So means for even the language without so big population, they can enjoy the full translation of all documents, the same level of service. So that's the first thing. I will give you several examples of our customers. For example, in Shenzhen, just a nearby city, the traffic congestion becomes more serious because for every kilometer of road, there are 510 cars. You can imagine, it's a very difficult situation. Now we are using AI for the automatic traffic control. In the past, the red light turned to the green just according to some timer. But now it's different. The camera is watching this line, how many cars are coming. That line, how many cars are coming. And they decide when to turn the light from green to red, from red to green. And it improves the speed of a car around 15%. That means in the morning, we can sleep 10 minutes more. It's very, very...
Very useful.
Yeah, very, very valuable.
Hugh, I've got to ask you a question specific to Huawei as well. You've got all these new products. You're rolling out 5G. You've got the new AI chips and products that are built with those chips. How worried are you about the political headwinds towards Huawei, particularly from the US, and your ability to sell these products to other customers as well?
So first, now Huawei are serving global customers in over 170 countries. And our customers include 46 of the top 50 telecom operators, 211 global Fortune 500 enterprises, and hundreds of millions of consumers. So why they choose Huawei? Because they fully trust Huawei, and also they recognize the value Huawei provides. So we believe our partners and customers in all over the world will make their own right choice with their own decision and their own judgment, and based on their experience of working together with Huawei, we will continue serve our global customers with our innovative solutions.
We've got about a minute left, Q. So as we close out this session, I want you to give our audience an insight into what you think the one biggest change or impact that artificial intelligence is going to have on enterprises in the future.
First, it will change all industries. AI will not only be used for some rich industry or only rich customer. Our inclusive AI will make AI affordable, effective, and reliable in all industries. We provide with a format of cloud, with a format of equipments, and it will dramatically improve the production efficiency and reduce the cost. Well, I think it will benefit to the whole society.
Chu Hung, President of Global Marketing and CMO for the Enterprise Business Group. Thank you at Huawei. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a quick question for you, Q. Mm-hmm. We were talking about your nickname and, you know, a little bit of a joke, but here is a serious question. If indeed you were to equip James Bond with a secret tech weapon, what would it be?
First, I think it's just a joke, okay? And we serve our customers to provide the most innovative solutions to help them to succeed. Of course, our customers are not only James Bond, a very, handsome VIP. Our customer will be every industry, every customer, whether they are rich or not. We will try to benefit the industry, benefit the society.
Wonderful. Well spoken, and thank you very much for joining us today. Joining us from Huawei Technologies was Chu Heng and Arjun. Don't go anywhere because you've got another segment coming up. Thank you, Q. We'll see you another time.
Thank you very much.
Big clap.
Thank you. Yeah.
So Arjun, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about what's happening in the world of finance with artificial intelligence. Because we might sort of quip, oh, the robots are taking over. But what if they're not so much as taking over, but being there from the very start, right? Because there are a lot of financial institutions out there that use things like algorithms and smart decision-making artificial intelligence to take the place of us fallible humans. But there is a bank out there that is digital only. China's first digital-only and private bank, WeBank.
WeBank, of course. And what we've seen is, of course, technology impact huge number of industries. And banking is one of the first that got attacked. I've seen it sitting in UK, all the fintech apps that have popped up attacking different parts of the bank's business model and trying to make it fairer for consumers and easier to have a bank that's just an app. And that's a huge shift we've seen in the industry.
It most certainly is. So let's welcome to the stage now Dr. Yang Cheng, who is the Artificial Intelligence Consultant at WeBank, the digital-only bank here in China.
Arjun,
Thank
nice
you
to
very
meet you.
much for joining me, Dr.
you.
Young. So look, I want you to give us a very quick rundown of what WeBank is, perhaps for the people in the room who haven't been aware of the product so far.
Right. WeBank is an internet bank. So by that I mean it's a bank that operates on the mobile phone, and through the internet it reaches over almost 100 million users across China. And its aim is to serve not only those who are capable, but those who are incapable of getting good services from regular banks.
And so at the time when WeBank was launched in 2015, what was changing in the banking industry that was there as a need for this kind of product?
First of all, internet was booming, and there are all sorts of services like e-commerce. Banking traditionally was passive in the sense that there's an office and people walk in and get services, and only the VIP get the best services. But via internet, you can change that, you can turn that around. Everybody becomes VIP. Everybody has access to all the services in the bank, only through the mobile phone.
And of course, mobile is so important here. You look at the success of apps like WeChat, of course, it's become very crucial to many consumers' lives. So at the time, was there this shift happening to mobile and consumers wanting more and more mobile experiences, particularly perhaps in places they've traditionally gone to physical stores or had a difficult and friction time? Even e-commerce is another example of this as well.
Exactly, right. Not only that, but in fact, there's something special about banking on the internet. Via big data and via multiple services, via partners, we can pull lots of data together and build more accurate customer profiles in order to know what customer preferences are, and better in controlling the risk factors. So the risk is a central issue for all the banking business, and WeBank can do it 10 times better than regular banks.
And just speaking of WeChat for a moment, I will dig into kind of the role of AI and being able to handle risk, but speaking of WeChat at the moment, what's the link between what's happening on WeChat, because you can access, of course, WeChat Pay, and you can access a few banking services on WeChat, and what's the link between that and WeBank?
So first of all, WeChat provides the user vast amount of users. As we know, almost everybody in China has access to WeChat. And so there is part of the WeChat services is a WeBank service, and there you can save your money, you can do your financial analysis, you can borrow money, and you can be an individual customer or a enterprise, small and micro enterprise. You can go borrow money, or you can control your finances and do investments.
And at WeBank, you mentioned about risk there. At WeBank, what kind of role is artificial intelligence playing in the processes that you do?
Right. In fact, traditional risk analysis were done by human experts, and the process can be very slow. You go and you send in your application, maybe over a week you get a reply. But with internet and with computer technology, especially with AI, you can rely on models to do all that. And these are these are AI-powered models, along with humans, so make the efficiency much more improved. And say a loan application, you can get in microseconds.
And so tell us about those algorithms.
Arjun, can you just hold that thought
Yes.
for one moment? This is live TV, folks. These things happen. We're just going to adjust your microphone for 1 minute because it's hitting your mouth, and we'll make sure that it's in the right position so that people can hear you nice and clearly, because that's the most important thing. You're the star on the stage, and we want to make sure that the microphone doesn't interfere. Okay, please carry on.
Good.
Excuse us.
No. We're talking about the issuing of perhaps microloans on the platform. How are you, and what kind of data are you using to assess the creditworthiness of an individual that perhaps hasn't been done traditionally by traditional banks?
First of all, in traditional banks, maybe you can get credit rating from one or two sources. But here with the internet technology, you can actually combine many perspectives. You can get sources from hundreds of sources, and all these can provide the different angle in assessing a user's risk, and therefore it's more accurate, and it's all done by computer, so it's faster.
And how are you balancing that line between privacy, data privacy, and also offering a useful product to consumers? Because the big concern, of course, right now with many technology companies is around their use of data and whether consumers are fully aware of how their data is being used. So what provisions have you put in place? How do you play that balancing act?
Right. Privacy is the utmost concern for WeBank. And so first of all, the data that we use are all approved sources. So for example, the central bank provides a credit rating. That combined with individual banks' rating, and all these are made known to the user. So that's the first. Second is we are developing a new technology which allow data to stay where they are, while different partners can jointly build a model. So, in view of the recent GDPR from Europe, privacy and security becomes more and more of a concern. And so traditional way of doing AI has been to combine all the data. Data actually were transported from one location to another. But with this new technology, which we call federated learning, we don't need that anymore. Data can stay where they are, and through secure transmission of several parameters, an algorithm can be built, a model can be built, and everybody can share that model.
So this doesn't require the need to move data around.
Exactly.
But you can access it, presumably encrypted,
right?
To be able to create some of these AI models.
Exactly.
I want to ask also a little bit about other parts where AI is touching your business. One is about the creditworthiness of loans, of course, but how about things like natural language processing and chatbots? Because this has been talking the banking industry where, some fintech players I've seen are trying to use chatbots as a way for customer service, perhaps, or allowing people who perhaps can't solve a problem just via an app to be able to talk to somebody.
Right.
So is that an area that will be a big part of WeBank?
You're absolutely right. That's customer service is a big issue in the banking industry, especially when you face so many customers. And so therefore, virtual robots powered by natural language processing, dialogue systems, speech recognition, face recognition, all combined can give users a personal service. And so right now, we get about 100,000 requests coming in every day about services, customer services, and all these, almost all of them, 98% were handled by robots, and people are very satisfied, and because they can personally cater to your special need.
I want to just jump back on that privacy point as well, because I guess one concern is just given the connection to WeChat, is that people will be worried that their communications and what they say via WeChat could be used as a data point to assess their creditworthiness.
Actually,
that's not data you use currently.
That's not the data we use.
Is it data you think about using?
No. That data is off limits. Yeah. So the data control is very, very strict.
So you've talked about AI automating the process of creditworthiness, AI to help with the natural language processing and chatbots. That seems like a lot of the parts of your business could be automated. And theoretically, a lot of the parts of other banking businesses could be fully automated. So is there a point where WeBank is fully automated?
At the moment, it still requires human to come in because, when you read GDPR, there has to be a human behind automated decisions, especially with critical decisions such as banking. There needs to be somebody who's responsible for all these decisions. So there has to be some human, but
I would have to say that, automated service is not an enemy to human services. They should work side by side. AI is there only to improve human services.
What does AI and automation mean for the traditional banks, though? Because there's many in the industry who have predicted over the next few years we're going to see huge amount of bank closures, physical locations shutting down because there's going to be no need for the physical. Everything's going to be internet only. Is that the way you see the rest of the banking industry going?
Actually, that's the negative side, but there's more on the positive side, which is banking industry will be more and more integrated with all other services, such as, when you go to a shopping mall, and when you browse things and buy things, there is opportunity for banking services. So we see more and more tight integration, seamless integration with everything you do.
One other key technology, a very hyped and buzzwordy technology, of course, is blockchain. This is something I currently understand is being used to issue loans. At WeBank, you've done some trials around that. So why blockchain technology for this kind of use case, and has it brought any benefits?
There are several benefits. One is, say, cross-institution money transfer, fund transfer, even cross-border fund transfer. All of that, when you put on the blockchain, it's more transparent, it's more secure, and it's more efficient. So that's improving efficiency is a critical issue for banking. Second is the backend for building model. We need lots of data, and these data, as I said, can be securely where they are. But the data profile can be put on a blockchain, so everybody can transparently look at what's available out there, so business partnership can be built.
There's of course a number of big issues with blockchain technology right now. One of the big ones is the scalability of, so essentially everyone being able to use a unified platform. So yourselves and perhaps other banks. So how do you get about that challenge here in China? What are you doing to create a unified system that can be used across the industry?
Right. With blockchain, I think the technology has been improving dramatically. So the efficiency challenge of yesterday is no longer a problem today. But we can be careful in choosing our application field as well to where it's most effective. So for example, in China, we carefully distinguish between the to C and the to B. To C means to fast customer, to B means to business. And usually when you deal with business partners like fund transfer, you don't have that volume of transactions because it's to individual businesses. And so there, at this stage, is the ideal application field for blockchain.
Many see it, and many have called it a silver bullet to some of the expensive processes that banks have to go through, whether that be issuing loans, whether that be trading between each other, FX. Do you see it as such a technology? Is it really that good that it can solve all the problems that these banks have?
I don't think it's the single technology. It has to be a combination of technology. So right now, at WeBank, we specialize in two key technologies, AI and blockchain. And in fact, we see a integration of the two in the future, so that AI can help improve the customer experience, can build models to control risk factors, and blockchain can help building partnership wider.
And you versus traditional banks, have the traditional banks caught up with fintech? Are they doing enough? Do they care enough to do the technology, just given the scale and dominance of many of course, these state-backed banks here in China?
I think they do. I think when you look at, so for example, credit card industry, it's a very traditional industry, but it's also very advanced because one of the advancement is marketing, is figuring out who are the ideal customers who might subscribe to your credit card services, and the accurate pinpoint of customers to approach is a key issue in machine learning applications.
Dr. Yang, we've got just a few seconds left, so I want to wrap up by asking you, we've talked about a lot of key, very hyped technologies right now, AI, blockchain, big data. What does this ultimately mean for the consumer in the next 5 years?
I think consumers can see banking at home, banking in their pocket, and banking whenever they need it, not only in the bank, but also in the car, in everywhere they go. So banking becomes air, becomes oxygen. And all that made this available is new technology, AI, internet, big data, and blockchain.
So it seems banking is no longer going to be boring with all this new technology. Dr. Yang Jiang, Artificial Intelligence Consultant at WeBank, thank you very much.
Thank
What?
you.
Whoever said that banking was boring?
Thank you.
You can just stay there for a second, Dr.
Yes,
Yang.
sure.
As I was listening into the conversation, I was thinking so much of the world's financial system is increasingly going through the internet, is going online. So it raises the huge issue of cybersecurity. So how do you keep ahead from a security point of view? How do you keep ahead of the hackers and the attackers out there?
You're right. So in fact, with internet banking, the very first issue is security. And in fact, at WeBank, we have a big security IT department. They function 24 hours a day. Even in holidays, there are people manning them, several layers of firewalls, and constant check of security. Yeah.
Have you ever had a situation where you've been greatly tested?
It's so because we do a lot of simulation, so there hasn't been a real situation that has occurred.
Okay, well, hope you can stay ahead of it. Thank you very much for joining us today, Dr. Yang Chang from WeBank.
Thank you very much.
And Arjun, thank you to you as well. So our next guest was named last year one of the top 10 women entrepreneurs in the world by the Global Women Entrepreneurs Conference. Why was she given this honor? Well, she took her company from a startup to one of China's leading AI computer vision unicorns. And of course, when we talk about unicorns, it used to be the mythical creature that was special and rare, but a unicorn company is just as special and rare, a privately held startup that reaches the billion-dollar status. Let's find out how she did it and what lies in store for her as well. Zhang Mo, founder and CEO of Yi Plus, hosted by Chen Chen. And once again, this interview is going to be in Chinese, so if you would like to use your headsets for English translation, turn it to channel 2. Thank you very much. Chen Chen, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mandy, for the introduction. Good morning, guys. I hope you enjoyed the morning sessions as much as I did. My name is Chen Chen. I'm a reporter with CNBC based in Singapore. So coming up next, we're going to talk about AI with Ms. Zhang Mo, the founder and CEO of company Yi Plus. So again, the interview will be done in Chinese, so remember to switch to the English translation. 那么接下来呢，我们会和一家公司的创始人和 CEO 张默女士来谈一下人工智能方面的这个视觉应用啊。那么首先来说一下你们公司的3个主要的产品应用，那分别是商品识别搜索引擎、图像视频智能分析引擎，还有人脸的识别引擎。那么我们接下来分别来说一下这3个方面。那么首先呢，在商品识别引擎当中啊，这个技术呢其实还有个很简单的名字，叫做边看边买。那你们和阿里巴巴、还有优酷、还有土豆合作，那比如说我在看电视的时候，我非常喜欢一个明星身上穿的衣服，那么我就可以一键搜索出同款。那么我的问题是，现在这个市场的蛋糕有多大？那比如说在中国用这个技术，能够将这个品牌营销还有广告的转化率提高多少呢？
我们这个产品它是人工智能计算机视觉技术在大众生活还有 AI 加文娱这个场景里面的应用。那么说到文娱，还有尤其是营销广告这个市场规模就是非常的大，至少在中国是个1000亿的规模，而且它逐年也是在2位数的在增长，现在已经是在数千亿的每年这样的一个规模上。那么我们的产品就是可以将转化率，也就是我们俗称的 CTR， 我们做品效合一的品牌广告，它的转化率可以提升10倍以上，也就是帮助广告主可以更加精准的去能够找到在内容高度相关这样的场景当中去投放相应的广告，所以说转化率效果也是非常的好的。我们这个产品呢，它已经在 两方面取得应用，一个是边看边买，就俗称的边看边买是同款商品的推荐；另外是说场景的广告，已经在像最新的海信 AI 电视，还有天猫魔盒、优酷等等很多个平台上，已经有数亿的用户已经使用了，并且我们跟像爱奇艺、优酷土豆、腾讯、芒果等等。主流的互联网视频平台也有广泛的合作，去把这个基于内容高度相关的场景广告去广泛的应用。
那接下来我们再说一下你们的第二个应用，叫做图像视频智能分析。这包括呢将这个目标和背景相隔离，识别出真正的目标，然后去除背景方面的干扰，并且分析目标的行为。那么在市场方面，现在最成熟的商业模式是什么？是智能家居呢，还是有其他的市场潜力？
这个方向其实它的应用的场景比较的广泛，一个是在移动终端，比如说手机，另外是电视，主要是这两个领域我们都有广泛的应用，比如说在手机的智能相机，还有我们基于 camera 的应用，以及在智能电视上都可以来大规模的应用。比如说，我们可以在视频和图像当中，对于物体、场景、人脸进行检测、识别、轮廓分割、跟踪、搜索和推荐，这是我们的 core tech， 也是基础的能力。在此基础上，可以演变成多种多样的这样的场景的应用。比如说在电视终端，我们可以做一个是包括大屏的 AI 助理，就是虚拟化的 AI 助理，可以帮助观众能更好的理解画面当中内容，以一个陪伴式的 AI 的形式来与观众互动。另外还可以有一些像安全播放，这样的一些应用。
那我还是想问一下，就这方面的市场的规模，有多大？
我认为也是1000亿规模的，
也是1000亿规模的市场。OK， 那我们再说一下人脸识别引擎啊。那我在昨天看这个一家公司的新闻的时候呢，发现有一条说你们的人脸识别的准确率呢可以达到99.83%。那么这个水平呢是全世界第一的水平啊，已经超过了谷歌、超过了腾讯和百度等等。那我想问你们的技术优势在哪里呢？
我们其实，在算法层面是有很多独创性的技术的，另外在数据层面以及在计算力一些像模型蒸馏等等方面，我们都有一些独创性的技术，这使得我们的团队在一些世界顶级的竞赛中，一共取得了13项世界冠军的成绩。在2018年，我们一共是有3项冠军，其中一项就是您刚才提到的 IFW。是一个老牌的人脸的识别的一个竞赛，目前我们还是99.83，在保持着世界纪录。我们运用了一些前沿的技术，比如说像无监督学习，另外我们还有在今年另外一个竞赛叫 Pascal VOC， 它也是一个非常著名的目标检测的一个竞赛，我们也是超过了一些像 MSRA 还有旷视和阿里等等，我们自己定义了一个网络叫 FXRCNN， 我们自己设计的一些模型，另外还有在整个的网络架构上，都有一些创新。我们运用了一些像迁移学习、增强学习、无监督学习等等的技术，可以让我们的鲁棒性增强，精度提升。另外，还可以在快速的一些特定的任务时候，可以快速的提高成绩。
那么有这么高的准确率，那我也在想这个市场中的你们的应用有哪些？那其实呢，说到产业红利啊，其实呢这个这个智能的硬件、营销、新零售还有智慧城市等等产业呢，其实都能够让你们的产品有很大的潜力啊。但同时呢，在中国正在推动所谓的天网系统。那比如说呢，中国市场现在已经有这个1.76亿个监控的摄像，那预计呢，在这个天网系统的这个建设还有推动下呢，还会有数亿个摄像头的增长。那么对你们公司来说，意味着什么样的机遇呢？
这个是在国家政策方面的一些个红利。对于我们公司来说，一个是可以享受到一些个政策，另外是一些个在订单方面的一些机会。可能从国家级到省部级，然后市级到我们所在的中关村，都会有相应的政策。另外在市场需求方面，可以为我们的订单增加不少。
OK， 那这个市场规模来看的话，你预计说会有多少的增长吗？
这个还是要看国家的政策，但是目前应该是持续增长的。
OK， 那我们刚才呢探讨了数个技术，我们再来说一下市场方面啊。那么你们作为独角兽公司，其实呢一路以来的这个融资道路啊，可以说是比较的顺畅的。你们在8月份呢是刚刚获得了上亿人民币级别的 B 加轮的融资。那比如说目前在中国的这个风投的市场当中，那么对于人工智能的风投的一些大趋势和大环境，你个人的感受是什么？
我觉得现在的整个的大环境，资本市场虽然是有周期和起伏，但是在中国人工智能的融资方面还是一直比较火热的。这方面，一个是无论是外资的 VC， 还是说一些国家队的一些资本，都把人工智能作为最为重要的一个领域来投资，所以，我们感觉上还是不错的，就整个的环境还是不错的，但资本它的选择也是每年会有不同，从最前期的会选择一些科学家，到现在，他们的目标还是会找到既有技术，又有商业化落地场景，又能够现在看到可以持续的规模的营收，一个向好的增长，能够在细分垂直领域有龙头企业，这样的标的。
OK， 那比如说对你们公司来说哈，作为刚开始的这个初创团队，然后走到目前，你们靠什么去说服投资人呢？让你们成为今天的独角兽？
首先我们也还是在努力的路上。首先还是说一个公司能够为社会创造什么价值。解决了什么样的社会问题，解决什么样的需求，这个是商业的本质，是最为重要的。另外还有跟一个公司的使命和愿景也有关系。比如说我们的使命就是发掘视觉信息中的价值，愿景是帮助人们看见非凡。我们希望能够革新人的交互方式，成为下一代的这样的交互方式。另外是在团队方面，他们也比较看重，还有就是一些商业运营的一些数据，逐渐的去能够让投资人看到在快速的增长，而且在相关的领域能够是这样的领军的企业，那么他们就会比较的青睐。
我听说过这样的一个说法哈，现在在中国呢，就比如说他们风投要投科技企业的时候呢，他们首先会看你的团队当中的工程师的一个百分比的数量。我不知道这个说法是不是正确的，但你们公司的这个工程师的数量大概有70%的水平那你觉得这是你们的一个优势吗？是一个你们说服投资人的优势吗？
我觉得是一个，我们有75%以上的都是研发和产品的人员，我们也非常非常重视技术的创新。我本人之前也是技术的背景，我在微软和 IBM 有工作，在研发机构开始，所以我们都非常有技术创新改变世界的信仰，同时也非常重视这方面的自主的。技术和知识产权的核心的那个知识产权的自主研发，这方面我们是非常非常重视的。然后也确实，这是一个 AI 公司的实力的体现。有了这些，才有了那些包括竞赛成绩和产品以及大客户的认可，这些是一个基础吧。
那么近年来，我们看到中国的 AI 人工智能市场的增速是非常快。那包括你们，还有比如说阿里巴巴、还有腾讯等等公司，都在非常大力的来支持这个产业。那我想问一下，比如说中国的人工智能产业，比如说跟美国硅谷的人工智能产业相比的话，中国的优势以及挑战在哪里？
我觉得首先中国是一个非常大的一个市场，中国的消费者 user 非常的多，而且中国的使用场景也非常丰富，这也就带来了数据方面的优势。第二个就是使用场景的优势。另外我们在算法和技术方面，现在已经是不能说超越美国，或者说我们也是至少是前2名吧，而且有这个趋势。像我们的无论是在学术论文，还是在一些个像顶级竞赛的成绩啊，和那个产品的应用方面，现在都是一个非常快速的增长的这样的一个趋势。这也是 AI 它的特性，就是它既依赖于算法，又依赖于数据。那这也是给中国的 AI 的发展带来一个新的一个机遇。
OK， 那最后一个问题呢，我想问一下，说你们现在公司的这个商业模式是否已经能够让你们公司能够一个盈利还有投入之间的一个平衡，是否能够达到盈利了？现在？
我们的营收的增长是比较快的。去年我们比前年是增长了100倍以上，今年比去年是增长了7倍左右，预计明年还是有一个几倍的一个增长。我们现在应该是快要接近盈亏平衡了，因为我们还在研发方面有很多的投入。
OK， 最后一个问题，现在你们公司的估值有多少？准备 IPO 吗？
我们的估值其实不高，是几亿美金。我们现在是有大概后年吧 IPO 的计划。
OK， 非常感谢您的今天的分享，非常感谢一家公司的张波女士，谢谢。
谢谢。
Now we get the stage back to Mandy.
Thank you very much, Chen Chen. Thank you very much, Zhang Mo, as well from Yi Plus. So think about all the things that you can order online now. I mean, thanks to tech innovation, really anything that you could possibly think of is just one click away, from groceries to pizza to light bulbs. Just think about the craziest thing that you have ever ordered online. Maybe you don't want to share with me. But anyway, my husband once ordered 1,000 ladybirds, live insects, you know, those little red flying insects with the black spots on their back. He ordered 1,000 live ladybirds to eat the insects that were eating his vegetable garden. And sure enough, within 1 week from Amazon.com, arrived these live insects in the mail. It's quite incredible. The sky is the limit for delivery online. So let's talk to someone who knows a lot about that. We have here Jun Young, who is the co-founder and CTO of JD Daojia, which is the Chinese online grocery and delivery company, along with Lin Chengkai, who is the Vice President of JD.com. And I have a special shout out to Jun, who was with me actually last night, along with a few other lovely speakers out there in the audience who we will be hearing from shortly. But I bit into what was quite possibly the hottest chili pepper on the planet last night. You were all watching me put it in my mouth and no one warned me, but I bit in and my head blew off and I literally couldn't breathe or speak for about 5 minutes. So thank you very much.
We didn't know that's so spicy.
Anyway, and Eunice is your host. So Eunice, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thanks so much, Mandy.
I'll just walk behind you here.
Sure. Take your time. Take your time. Obviously, retail a really big industry here in China. So many shoppers, 1.4 billion people. Potential is massive. And I wanted to just get a sense from you, especially with, with just so many people here. What really is so unique and different about China? Where do you see something in 2019 that really surprises you in retail, that would surprise viewers who might be tuning in?
Sure. Maybe I can start first. And I think there's a lot of unique things in China, especially in the retail industry. First of all, I think in China, the e-commerce penetration is pretty high. It's about 15% compared to the rest of the world. It's leading. And second is there's a lot of new retail innovation pumping up recently. I mean, omni-channel, social commerce, content commerce. There are a lot of exciting things here. And third is, I think there's a very exciting thing is the retail infrastructure during the past couple of years has been improved a lot. And this is now, I think the retail infrastructure is really leading the world. Yep.
Jun?
Yeah, for me, I'm a strong believer that e-commerce penetration will be much higher in China in 5 years. But I think the real opportunity is to empower, to help all existing offline retailers, to help them do e-commerce with a 1-hour delivery experience. That's what we are doing, and we see a very steep growth rate on that. And I project that within 5 years, for all the existing retailers like Walmart and Carrefour in China, 50% of their sales will be online. We'll be providing 1-hour e-commerce shopping experience. So by that time, they are no longer offline retailers. They're online and offline retailers. They're omni-channel retailers. That's what we are seeing.
So then what you get excited about is the idea that everything is going to be delivered within an hour.
Yes.
Yeah, because you're in the grocery area.
Right.
Because I was thinking that what I found interesting, and I don't know whether or not people really know this about China, is that you guys have these unmanned convenience stores, which are kind of incredible and yet slightly scary. Because you walk in, and through facial recognition, everything is getting paid. You just pick whatever groceries you want, and then you walk out, and at the end, you pay, and you don't even know that you've paid. I mean, how is it that China could create these types of advantages?
Yes, I think there's a couple of things. Enable this kind of retail innovation. By the way, just the unmanned store is one of the retail innovation. And I think first of all is the improvement of the retail infrastructure. So along this infrastructure, we have a lot of technology. For example, AI, big data, blockchain. So there's a lot of new technology in this kind of unmanned warehouse, facial recognition you just mentioned, e-price tag, electronic price tag, and a self-checkout machine. But I think these are only on the front end. But the key is the retail infrastructure. So once we build this kind of retail infrastructure, there could be a unmanned warehouse today, but there could be another or other potential retail innovation in the future.
Do you have anything else to add?
I think it's also because the Chinese consumers always want more. So in some sense, JD and JD Daojia are all driven by what the consumer wants.
I know. Don't you think that? I think you guys are just enabling us to be super lazy. Because I'm just like, do I actually have to take my wallet out? Oh, no. It's just, and it's been over an hour, and I can't believe that delivery hasn't arrived. We're just all impatient and becoming lazier.
That's right. Chinese consumers are spoiled. In this market, all the players are trying to provide a better user experience to the consumers. Yeah.
Well, so then tell us, right now, what are the expectations that you have for the Chinese consumer today? How are they behaving today? What are their expectations for retail? And then what does that mean for you?
I think there's a couple of features we saw that right now in the Chinese consumer. First of all, is they are getting more and more sophisticated, right? So previously, consumer when they're shopping, especially online, the price is the key purchasing criteria. They will just scan all the a different website and choose the cheapest one. But nowadays, we find that the consumer price is important, but definitely is not the most important one. Product quality, authenticity, customer service become more and more important. That's the first thing we saw. Second is the Chinese consumer, especially with the rising of the middle class, I think they are getting richer and wealthier. And so they pay a lot of attention to those high quality products. So the demand of like imported products, high quality products become very more and more popular. And third is probably another thing, very interesting feature is Chinese consumer become more social. So previously, when consumer shopping, we call it silent shopping. They drop something on the basket and then check out. But nowadays, they will compare the reviews between the other consumers, and also when they purchase, they will share their products. So they become more and more social. These are the trends we witness.
And having high quality products must be especially important when it comes to groceries, right?
Sure.
Just because people want fresher items.
That's why we only work with very the high end, like the high quality offline retailers like Walmart, Carrefour. The other thing I want to add to your point is I want to share a personal experience. So when we started, because earlier I said that the 1 hour or instant e-commerce, the penetration will be much higher. When we started the journey a few years back, when we provide this 1 hour delivery, we saw people use this only for all the perishable goods, fish, meat, vegetables. Because for the other, more standard items like shampoos, body lotions, you're okay with like 2-day delivery, right? But what we found that over the journey is that people want everything in 1 hour. When we provide that service, people shop not only the perishable goods, but all the other stuff, all the the paper towels using 1 hour service. So the thing we learned from that experience is that it's not because people don't want that. It's because you haven't been able to provide that with the right user experience. When we do that, people want everything in 1 hour.
Yeah, including ice cream.
Yes.
Because I was ordering the ice cream, and then it has to come within 30 minutes. I just said, wow, I'm just a spoiled brat. How do you see this changing then? Do you think that in the next 5 years, are consumers going to become even more demanding? It has to be delivered at, I don't know, 10 minutes? How is this going to work out?
I definitely think, I don't know if 10 minutes is really possible, but I think definitely there will be more and more stuff being delivered within a very, very short period of time. So our prediction is, as I said earlier, 50% of the existing offline retailers will be online and deliver within an hour. And we see the category being expanded from just the perishable goods to more FMCG to even other items. So maybe, in 5 years, you can shop for clothes in 1 hour.
That would be handy.
And I think the time is one dimension of the user experience. Definitely, the faster the delivery of the products, there will be user experience will be good. But there are other dimensions of the user experience. For example, consumer demand for more high-end and premium products. That's one dimension. And also, I think we witnessed that consumers are more and more actively involving in the manufacture of the products. So they want to involve in the whole value chain, including the manufacture of the products, including the logistics, including the marketing. So how do we just make them more engaging? This also became a very important element of the user experience.
So when you were just talking, I was thinking, that sounds expensive. Investing in logistics, investing in the manufacturing and the products, and that's been JD's strategy, is really building out and sometimes being criticized for that upfront investment. So now if you're building out this big logistics network and then having all of these warehouses and everything like that, is this something that can be replicated overseas? Do you think this model, because when I think of China, I think, wow, these delivery guys, there's like a zillion of them all driving around, sure. And that takes a lot of manpower. China has manpower. Not a lot of other countries have that kind of manpower.
That's right. Yeah, I think this topic is more related to globalization. Yes, so for us, that globalization has two elements. One is globalization of our capabilities. So we are already built some capabilities, for example, technology, for example, logistics. Another is globalization of our e-commerce, right? This is more of e-commerce exporting, open a site overseas. So for us, we will probably focus more on the globalization of our capabilities. We already, through our retail as a service strategy, we already accumulated a lot of capabilities. Technology, AI, big data, delivery, warehouse management, and we want to export these capabilities to enable those retailers and offline, both offline and online, in the other country to make them more efficient. So that's the area we think we can help the retailers overseas.
I think talking about bringing those business models overseas, I think there are two factors in China that make China really unique, besides the demand of the customers. So one thing is China has a rising and very densely populated middle class. They all live in those big, huge cities, right? The second thing is you have a large working class of manpowers at a very competitive rate. I think these two things make business model like JD's and ours very efficient, because you can group a lot of people's order and deliver them at an inexpensive rate. And that's why when we apply those models to other countries, we may have challenges. And it really depends on what kind of countries we are talking about.
So what countries do you think, are there countries that it might work in? Like, I don't know, Indonesia, for example?
I think in countries with a very high population density and country with a lot of manpower, I think those models are more readily applicable. And other countries may, you need to twist the business model.
So I want to just pick up on your point, CK, when you were talking about exporting these services, right? So I was talking with your founder, Richard Liu, earlier this year, and he had said that he was looking at the U.S. at one point, investing heavily. Now, thinking of pulling back, holding those investments just because of the trade tensions that were going on. How concerned is the company now about these tensions that we're seeing overseas?
I think for our globalization strategy, definitely, right now, majority of our business is focusing in China, but definitely we have the aspiration for the globalization. But I think that for us, right now, the Southeast Asia is our main focus, right? But we are actively looking to the opportunity overseas, for example, US, for example, the other countries. But I think in the US, there's some unique things because we have a partnership with Google.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you how that all works.
We just want to leverage each other's strengths, and Google has the traffic, we have the product, Google has technology, we also have the application of the area to applicate these kind of technology. So we saw a good complementary of our capability. So moving forward, we'll focus more on the Southeast Asia, but gradually expand to the other countries.
So how do you see that relationship with Google working? Because they made the investment, and so do you see you and Google or Google acting as a facilitator of U.S. consumers eventually looking and finding your products online, or how is that going to work?
Sure. I think first of all, the partnership with Google is not only target the U.S. market. So what we see our complementary capability is across a lot of countries. For example, Google has a very huge traffic in a lot of countries, right? And also we already have footprint in Southeast Asia, in Thailand, in Indonesia. So I think right now, I think the partnership went well. We are very actively explore the potential business model to implement in the right region.
So, Jin, do you have anything to add to that with Google? What about with the partnership then with Walmart? Because I think it's interesting how that's been developing.
Yeah. So the partnership has been great. So thanks to JD's partnership with Walmart, we actually started to work with Walmart 2 years ago. Now, actually, Walmart has more than 200 stores in China that operating on our platform. And that's more than half of their stores in China. And by the end of next year, we're going to probably have 400 stores of Walmart operating on platform. And that's almost all their stores in China. And for some of the stores, our sales will account for about 10% of the whole store sales. So it has been growing great. At the same time, we are also amazed by how fast Walmart is being able to move. So we form a very, very close relationship. And Walmart actually invested in the most recent 2 rounds in the company.
So Walmart has been pushing its digital strategy as well. So I could imagine that your minds have melded in that way.
Exactly.
So one other thing that I found interesting, and then maybe Walmart is an example of this, is this idea of retail as a service. Because you guys have been talking about that a lot, this idea that if I go online on JD, I can find a lot of different merchants, and so you're working with lots of different suppliers, but that the next step could be then these massive collaborations with big retailers or other industries working with you and taking advantage of your large network of logistics. Where are we with that?
Sure. I mean, retail service is already being our overarching strategy. So the key 2 elements for the retail service is we will doing the retail right, but at the same time, we will accumulate a lot of capability to build a cutting-edge retail infrastructure. And then we will open up this retail infrastructure to empower both JD as well as our partner. So give you an example that we work with a Chinese home decoration retailer called Qumei. And we develop a omni-channel solution together. And for example, first of all, Qumei can leverage JD's platform, advertising platform, to find a very targeted group of their customer. And then we will just send some coupon to this customer, and the customer can get a coupon from JD's app, and then they can use this app to the nearest store, and then they scan the app, they can scan their coupon, and then they will get paid, and also they will become a member both for the Qumei and for JD. So this kind of omni-channel can help, first of all, bring the incremental traffic to Qumei store. They are the physical store. Second is we can make the customer easier to become Qumei's membership. So this kind of omni-channel can both help Qumei to increase their traffic as well as let them be easier to acquire the new memberships.
Yeah, for us, I think actually from start we take the position of empower to empower all the offline retailers, because we don't take inventories. The retailers take the inventories, but we empower them to provide an online service. So we empower them from many different dimensions. For example, we build a platform, a brand, to give the user traffic, to give sales to those retailers. We help them with all the fulfillment technologies. For example, we work with Walmart we renovated all the Walmart stores on our platform to install a warehouse inside the store and to facilitate the picking of all the orders online. And we work with them in terms of to optimize all the product assortment to make the assortment fit both for the offline consumers as well as the online consumers. So we actually, from the starting point, we take the position of an enabler for the retailer. So it's already doing a retail as a service.
So then that's already happening now. What happens next? I mean, which industries are going to be affected then by this kind of elaborate network that you have and this idea of retail as a service?
Sure. I think, first of all, I think definitely we'll explore the partners who already have business with JD. For example, a lot of brand and suppliers, and that's the first step. And the second, we will gradually open up to our offline partners. For example, we already just have some capital engagement with some physical retailer. We will also open up to them. And then we also will consider to open up our infrastructure to some other industry, like industrial goods, like other healthcare, because they can leverage our data and as well as our logistics services.
Yeah, for us, we also expanding, our partner from just the supermarkets into other retailers in other categories. For example, pharmacies, community food shops, and other folks.
So is this your expectation then for the retail industry globally? Do you think that the entire retail industry is moving in the same direction? Or is this more specific to China?
I think what we see is mainly in China, but we also see some other retailer globally. They are doing the same thing. For example, in the UK, there's Ocado. They also did the same thing. They export their warehouse capability to other retailers.
Yeah, I think we see similar models. For example, in US, there's Instacart doing quite similar to what we are doing. But because of the population and the labor issue that we talked about earlier, I think they target at a slightly different customer base. But I think we see similar models everywhere in the world.
Well, I've only 1 minute left, but in that time, I want you guys to give us what do you think is going to be the next big thing in retail?
I think next big thing for us is omni-channel. I mean, this is really, really a big thing because 85% of the retail in China is offline. How to empower them, enable them to do the omni-channel will be a very big thing.
And for us is to help all the existing retailers succeed in the new world of e-commerce with a 1 hour extreme user experience.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad that you guys are so good with time, making quick deliveries and delivering us right on time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Just stay seated for a second.
Take a seat for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll come round the back of you here. I have a question for you, Jun. And we were touching on this subject last night. How do you recruit the Luddite customer such as myself who still likes to go to a physical grocery store and squeeze the avocados and sniff the mangoes and check out the broccoli? Will there be an AI solution for that perhaps in the future?
Possible. I think, so first of all, I think we fully recognize the value of offline retailers. I think people have the need sometimes to go to a offline retailers to feel the product. We fully recognize that. That's why we take the position of helping the offline retailers to do online business. And I don't think the online will be 100%. There will always be some offline business. But I think we can use technology to making sure people are satisfied, they're happy, they're confident what they buy from us is fresh, is good. Right. From the brand, we are also doing, making the packing more standard, to have some brand for the fresh food, to make them have the confidence in all the product. Maybe we should engage AI technology to just to let them see all the product before we pick them.
Maybe in the future have sensors so they can even squeeze them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much to all of you for joining us. Thanks, Eunice, as well.
Yeah, I think that I've been in China a lot longer than you have because I was thinking, why would you want to squeeze all the fruit and have it delivered to your door? And then you can squeeze it.
Try it sometime. You might find it pleasantly enjoyable. Then you know you're getting something that's actually ripe, right? Because quite often you might get some, and I've experienced this in Australia, where you might have something delivered to your door, say the nectarines or peaches, and they're rock hard, right?
Actually, I haven't had that experience here, but once I do, I'll let you know.
Well, maybe it all comes down to having a delivery company that you can trust, that they will deliver something that's ripe and ready to eat. There you go. Thank you very much once again.
Cool, thank you. Cool.
So we now come to the next conversation, which is actually the last conversation before we break for lunchtime. And this is on the VC outlook. Let me bring to the stage now Sequoia China's partner, Xing Liu. Now, Sequoia's catchphrase, I love this, is "We help the daring build legendary companies." So what are the legendary companies of the future going to be? Let's ask Xing Liu, joined by Deirdre as well. Dee, come on up onto the stage. Give them a round of applause.
Hi again, everyone, and I'm sure you're hungry. So this is the last session before lunch, and I'm really, really pleased that you're here, Xing Liu. And I got to start. What a remarkable year for Sequoia Capital. I mean, listen to this stat. It has been a huge year. Still, Sequoia-backed companies got to $100 billion in exits this year. That's an incredible number. Let me just name a few of them in terms of US IPOs. There's Dropbox and Eventbrite. Chinese names, Meituan, Pinduoduo. Non-IPO exits include GitHub and Mobikes. Xing, just walk us through this monumental year for Sequoia.
Yeah, thank you very much for the compliments. It's very flattering. We did have a very good year. I think this year is a very good year for the capital markets. So across the globe, we have quite a number of IPOs. I think by the end of October, we probably have, in China alone, we have about 13 companies got listed in United States and the Hong Kong markets. And very importantly, as you mentioned, we not only are seeing IPOs, but also have very large acquisitions. In fact, GitHub and Qualtrics These two companies were acquired at multi-billion-dollar valuations by SAP and large companies. These two companies probably ranked top two of the four in the whole history, if we count the acquisition of the VC-backed companies by the valuation at the time of the acquisition. And Meituan and Pinduoduo, as you rightfully pointed out, the new generation of the leading internet giant companies in China are listed in U.S. and Hong Kong. So it's we are very fortunate to be some of these companies since day one, right? Sequoia's mission is to work with these fantastic founders from idea all the way to IPO and beyond.
And it's amazing because in San Francisco, we talk about next year being the year of the mega IPO. We have names like Uber and Lyft and Airbnb. Airbnb, another Sequoia investment. Lyft and Uber, not so. But big Chinese names expected for next year as well. Toutiao, Ant Financial, Didi. Do you think that Sequoia is going to be able to potentially top or match this year?
Well, I think these companies certainly have plans to get listed. Whether next year or the exact timing, I think the management would have to, the company would have to work with the bankers and see the market conditions and see when is the best time to come out. However, having said that, I think all the companies, Uber, Didi, Airbnb, Toutiao, I think these could be companies that's very worthwhile for every one of us as investors to look forward to their roadshow.
Many of the companies, especially in the ride-sharing world, have been private for an eternity in the VC world, 10 years or more in some cases. Do you push for an exit strategy, or is it when they are ready?
At Sequoia, we always think that the company should go IPO when they are ready. And the readiness, you have to assess it internally, right? In terms of your organizational capability, your performance, your future growth strategy, and also externally to see the macro conditions, the market conditions. I think we should always, as a long-term investor, we value companies' long-term value. Therefore, IPO is really just one of the steps. Right? It may be a milestone, but it's one of the steps of becoming a great company. So I think it's better to do that when the company is ready.
Right. Let me ask you about one company in particular, and that would be Didi. I mean, I think some would say that even as soon as a few months ago, it may have been ready to list, but it has been a really hard year for the company, and what a difference a year makes. Last year at this time, I remember talking about Uber and the number of challenges that this company faced, and Didi was held up as an example. And this year at this time, Didi is under a lot of scrutiny after 2 passenger murders and lots of changes in the regulatory landscape. Should they put their IPO plans on hold? Are they on hold?
I'm not on the Didi's board. I'm not very close to the situation, so I'm not sure if they're ready. But as a shareholder, we are a very small shareholder there, and investment professionals. I would say this year they did have encountered a lot of issues, and they need to really focusing on getting those resolved. The regulatory pressures are very high at the moment for them, but I'm sure the management team are doing everything that they can to fix the problems if there are, and also taking the proper measures to prevent things from happening again, and also cooperate and work with the relevant government agencies and regulators to define and I guess refine the operations and how this industry should evolve in China. So my guess is they probably need some time to work through these issues, but I think from a long-term perspective, ride-hailing, ride-sharing is still something that benefits. It brings value to the society. So if it just we just need to find out what's the best way that can meet all the stakeholders' requirements.
still disrupting and still figuring that out, but you sound confident that they can address these issues. I know it's been a huge year, but as we look back on the year that's just passed, are there any companies, or is there any one company that you look back on that you wish that Sequoia Capital had invested in?
We always like to say our best investment is our next investment. So I guess the ones that we regret the most will be the ones that we are going to make the investment next.
Okay. We're all friends here, but any Chinese company that maybe, let me phrase this in a different way, has surprised you. And we've talked a lot over the last few days about the landscape here in China. There's just so much money going into it, and competition can be so fierce. So are there any companies that perhaps surprised you, or even industries, if you don't want to get too specific?
In China, we really had a very wide coverage. I think from not only internet, but also consumer products and services and healthcare and industrial technology. And we cover from C stage all the way to later growth stages. I guess in hindsight, we probably was a little bit late in catching up on the WeChat ecosystem. What that means, right, to the business opportunities and also to us as investors. There is a notion, it may be a little bit more exaggerating, called WeChat, internet. So there's mobile internet and there's WeChat internet, right? And but it does, emphasizes or call everyone's attention to how the whole WeChat ecosystem is so fertile. There are many new things, new business models, new products, new ways of doing things that can happen on the WeChat ecosystem. And in hindsight, I think we wish we could be a little bit more plugged into the WeChat ecosystem and identify some opportunities earlier rather than later.
And I think you're getting at, too, it's still growing, right? If there's going to be this WeChat internet. So how would you get into it now? Are you looking at companies that can fit into that ecosystem, potential Tencent acquisitions? How do you play that?
We are still very actively looking at how the WeChat ecosystem allows new things to happen. WeChat has about 1 billion monthly active users, right? And Alibaba, everybody know how powerful this company is, and they have 600 million monthly active users for online shoppers. But even that, you still have Pinduoduo, right, coming from nowhere. It seems, right? And still there are 200, 300 million Chinese who became online shoppers because of Pinduoduo. I mean, they haven't even shopped on Taobao before.
Right.
And I think that Pinduoduo, as you know, they initially have a very smart mechanism to leverage the social relationships among the consumers, and then that's how they acquire their first a batch of the consumers from WeChat. Right, and so it seems like it's so unimaginable that when you have 600 million people already shopping on Taobao, how can you find 200 million more that has never shopped before online?
But you guys saw
WeChat.
that. You saw that opportunity, right? And you guys invested in Pinduoduo. It's interesting because it's shaped up a little bit differently in the United States. Facebook and Instagram are these huge forces to be reckoned with. Snap came along and were able to draw a bunch of users in until Facebook and Instagram started looking their way, and some might argue copying that product. Is there a chance of that happening in China, or do you think that there's more opportunity for new Chinese startups versus the US?
That's a very, very good question. We ask ourselves a lot, and we actually have met a lot of founders. These are daring founders, and they say, you know what, WeChat is not enough now. Okay, WeChat is not the best social media or the communication tool for the young people. They come to present us and pitch to us and say, hey, this is the new app that I'm developing, and I think it has the better features than WeChat for tailoring to the young people. And they may start with from some a very niche area, maybe how to get people to sing songs together better, right? Or maybe it's how on WeChat because it's where your parents are also living in that world, right? And
you want to get away from your
parents. Yeah, you don't want to get away from them. You don't want to express yourself, your true self.
And that's what hurt Facebook.
Yeah.
So
they say, hey, I have another app that I can use artificial intelligence. I can use the tagging mechanism to match people with real common interest, and make them to talk to each other, and they can socialize to each other. So there are new apps that we are actively looking.
Do they have a chance? Can they give WeChat a run for their money? Have you seen anyone that you'd want to invest in?
As a venture capitalist, we are always optimistic that there are new things that can come out to disrupt the incumbents. So certainly, we have looked at some. There are some that we wish we had been earlier investors, and now we are still talking to them to see if we can invest at a later time. And these new social apps, they have shown some early momentum. If you look at their user growth.
Mm-hmm. And I guess going back to my question, though, is the landscape different in China than it is in the U.S.? Do you think that Chinese startups have a better chance competing with the behemoths like Alibaba and Tencent than startups do in the U.S. competing with the Facebooks and Googles of the world and Amazon?
Do I think the Chinese startups has better chance? They may. I think one thing is because it's such a large market, right? China is not one homogeneous market. When you think of the Chinese, it's not one homogeneous group. So it's actually has many different layers if you look at the demographics, right? So and because of the total population is so large, so even one of the layers can mean 50 million people, 100 million people. And if you can serve that 100 million people, you have a large enough space to start your business with.
So it's the sheer scale of it. Now, well, we just have about a minute and a half left. I want to ask you, one of the themes of the last few days have been Western companies or Western investors. How do they navigate the Chinese landscape, technology landscape? We've heard from this morning, I'm thinking of Jim Breyer and Elaine from Microsoft saying that you need to have a long-term view and invest and really learn the market. What advice would you give to Western companies or investors looking to get involved in the Chinese technology space?
I think the Western companies needs to be more daring to come to the China market. I think they also need to think about the China market earlier in their company's life cycle than before. Before, they tend to think about China market when they have become already the dominant player in the US or the rest of the world. I think now even startup companies need to think about the China market, because if you are not a meaningful player in China market, you will not be a global leader right down the road. And also because China market is so big, I think the objective or the goal setting can be more flexible. I mean, for a Western company, you don't need to be number one in China. Even if you are number 3 or number 4 or even number 5 in China market, you are still getting a lot of business out of China. So I think come here early and also set your goals properly and be more adventurous.
Okay, I like that. Xing, thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's a good note to end on. Be more daring, be more adventurous, just like your catchphrase. Thank you very much for that. Thanks very much, Dee, as well. So you've been a very attentive audience, but I'm sure you're all hungry as well. Hands up if you're hungry. Yeah, I'm hungry, which is good news because lunch is ready. So lunch is being served in Cafe Flora. So just make your way back down to where you had breakfast this morning. And do come back in 1 hour's time, so at 1:45. But since you have an hour, instead of just eating, there are so many more things that you can do if you like. Just check on your East Tech West app for all the various activities that are going on. And as we hoped, we've also got some fantastic business meals meetings and bilaterals also going on the periphery, bringing people together and providing a fantastic networking opportunity. So use it to the best of your advantage. That's what we want you to do. We also have plenty more things coming up after the break. For example, stick around. We've got a fantastic sports panel hosted by Arjun later on in the day, where we're going to have WWE, the NFL, and NBA. All three of them sitting down and talking about the future of sport. So go enjoy your hour and your lunch, and we'll hopefully see you nice and refreshed back here at 1:45. Bye-bye.